Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be restoring a proper diecast disaster. It's a little Corgi number 485, the mini Countryman. It has a roof rack on it there and came with a couple of surfboards and a little surfer. Those are obviously long gone. These were produced from 1965 until 1969. It's a pretty cool little model, and I think they can fetch a fair price. So let's take it off the turntable and have a closer look. It's really seen a bit of action, this one. A lot of the paint is chipped off there. Luckily both the headlights are still in it, however. It's got the little jeweled headlights. It's missing the back tyres there. The roof rack is pretty badly damaged and the back doors are missing. Luckily the windscreen, however, is in great condition. It's only got one little tiny crack in the front. The interior is also intact and pretty decent condition. It's also got an aerial on the front there that's broken off. I'll start by drilling out the post and taking it apart. Like a lot of these old Corgis, it's got an outie, so I start with the round burr on my rotary tool and then I finish off with a 4mm drill. Now I can take it apart. There's a tab at the rear there. The roof rack is in there quite firmly. I have to push these little short posts out from inside. To remove the headlights, I drill a couple of little holes in behind them. This was an idea from Bob Willis. If you enjoy these Corgi and Dinky restorations, I recommend to check his channel out. Unfortunately the jewel has popped out of this casing here, but that'll be easy to glue back in later on. Just make sure I don't lose it. Now, before I strip the paint off of the castings, I'll just try to match the colours. Now, I spent quite a while trying to match this turquoise. I couldn't get it exactly right, but it was pretty close. The brown was pretty easy to match. So with my paint ready to go, I can move on and strip the body of the car. I use some poly stripper. And here it is with the paint removed. Now a clean up with the wire brush on my rotary tool. So get rid of those remaining scraps of paint and the oxidation off of the surface of the metal. Here it is after burnishing. It's looking a lot nicer now. They really are fantastic quality casting, these old Corgis. So here are some replacement rear doors that I've bought. I'm just going to test fit them. They ended up fitting in okay, but they're a bit too small. I'd guess the reason for these parts not fitting very well is that whoever made them has used original parts for patterns and made a mould off of them and not accounted for the shrinkage that was going to take place. So you get these sort of slightly undersized looking copies. Anyway, I give them a bit of a clean up with my file here. I use a little bit of my Starbond super glue here to attach them to these skewers for painting. Now I can move on and undercoat the parts. I paint the body in the turquoise colour. Now I'm going to hand paint on the brown, but I do put a little bit of masking around the easy areas. And then I very patiently paint on the brown. And here it is with the wood sections painted in. Now I'm going to detail in the metal parts, the grille, the little lights there and the door handles. The handles weren't actually detailed on the original model, and normally I wouldn't do that on a restoration, but I thought I would on this one. Usually when I'm painting the details on the little cars, I'm using a mixture of my left hand and the helping hand there to brace them, and then I can keep my right hand steady on my left hand while I paint. Finally, I detail in the red tail lights. The rear doors were first painted in the brown, and then I masked off the panels and I painted them in the turquoise colour. Onto the base now. First thing I'm going to do is to take off these grotty old perished tyres. Look at that, they're just busting into pieces. The second one didn't actually come right off. I had to use a little craft knife to remove the remains of it. Now I could actually slip this front axle out here, but there's no way I'm going to get the back axle out. There's a couple of little lumps here stopping the wire coming out. So I'm not sure if the paint stripper is going to discolour those shiny rims. I'm not going to take the risk, so I mask them off, and it's off to the stripping shop and the paint is removed. I can then take my masking off of the wheels and I give it a clean up with the wire brush on my rotary tool. Once it's cleaned up, ready for painting, I mask off the wheels again and then I paint it grey. And finally, before I give it a coat of varnish, I detailed the bumper in silver. Now I can remove the masking from the wheels. The plastic parts are in good condition, as I mentioned earlier. They're just a bit grubby. So it's off to the kitchen sink for a wash in some hot soapy water. Here they are, looking a lot cleaner. It's actually a really nice detailed interior. It's a pity I'm not customizing it because it would be quite fun to paint. And the windscreen, nice and clean now. Still a little bit scuffed, so I give it a quick polish. And here it is, looking nice and shiny. So I bought some more spare parts, if my kitty will just get off of them. So there is a replacement roof rack here, some replacement surfboards, and some nice new tyres. And here are all of our parts, refurbished, repainted and ready to go back together. I'm going to start by putting on this roof rack. I'm just going to pop the roof rack right on. Maybe it goes around the other way. As you can see, the roof rack barely fits at all. I spent quite a while messing around with this, getting it on there as best I could. I ended up breaking it in one place and had to glue it back together. And so here it is. This was the best I could get it to fit on there. If you're going to restore one of these, I would recommend pre-fitting this roof rack like I should have done, and maybe drilling those roof holes just a little bit larger, and then it should fit a lot better. So I'm going to pop these tyres on. Luckily these fit perfectly. Now I just need to drop the windscreen and the interior in. Now I'm going to put the two doors in. because they are a little bit too small, they actually don't even really fit in there properly. They're too small to push into the top and bottom notches designed to hold them in place. You can actually get them to stay in there, and they do just kind of work once the base has been screwed tightly on. I've drilled and tapped the post there, and I'm using a little 256 button head screw to hold it all together. And finally, I'm going to put the headlights back in. I'll just glue this jewel back into this casing here. The headlights just push into the holes, you don't have to even glue them in there. And the aerial, I've just cut out a little piece of wire to replace the missing part. So before we have a look at our finished Austin Mini Countryman Surfer Mobile, let's just take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. A really worn out little Corgi with missing paint, missing tyres, a broken roof rack, missing rear doors, missing aerial, and no surfboards. A proper diecast disaster. And here is our little mini surfer wagon after our restoration. It's looking much tidier now with a nice new paint job. It's got some brand spanking new tyres. The rear doors have been replaced. It's got a new aerial to pick up those surfing sounds. And it's even got a brand new pair of surfboards to carry around. I'm really happy with how this car came out, even with the slowly misfitting spare parts. It was a really fun project to do, and I've actually had it sitting around for months and months waiting for the surfboards and the roof rack to turn up. So it's been really satisfying to finally get it restored. You can let me know what you think in the comments below, and it's always great to hear any memories. Maybe you used to own a little Mini and used to go surfing with it, or maybe you had this toy. Now for a big welcome to all my new subscribers, and a massive thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. A massive thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters for helping to support the channel through Patreon. If you'd like to join them, you can check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description below. Thanks heaps for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends.